Welcome to Spotlight on St. John's. I'm your host, Brian Brown. St. John's University is a unique institution of Catholic higher education with a nearly 150-year-old history and a mission guided by the principle of service to others. We are Catholic, we are Vincentian, we are Metropolitan, and we are global. With over 21,000 students who hail from 46 states and 127 countries, we are the place to be. Today I'm going to introduce you to some students from St. John's who've had a unique educational experience. Their stories and their experiences are an inspiration to us all. So welcome everyone, you're in the spotlight. I'm going to start this episode the same way I start the first day of class. So why don't we go around the room and we'll say our names, hometown, what year you're in, and what your major is. And why don't we start with you?
My name's Cam Yi Lau. I was born in Hong Kong, and right now I'm in PA school, studying physician assistant. I'm in my 4th year.
Hi, my name is Yugi Paul. I am a 5th year accounting student, and I'm from the Bronx, New York.
My name is Josh Alexander. I am originally from Queens, and I'm a 4th year PA student.
Whereabouts in Queens?
I grew up in Flushing. I live in Fuller Park now.
Wonderful.
My name is Thea Harper, and I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I'm a 2nd year grad student, and my major is international communication.
My name is Cooper Miqueli. I'm from Hackensack, New Jersey, in the 5-year government and politics program at St. John's.
Terrific. So our topic today is internships and the St. John's experience and all the collective things that many students here at St. John's are doing. And Thea, I want to start with you. Thea is a graduate student in international communications, and you've worked very hard trying to build your career and develop your dream of being an on-air television correspondent. Tell us about that.
Well, it kind of all started when I started interning for Hot 97. I was a contributing writer on Ebro Darden. He's one of the on-air talent. I was a contributing writer for his website, and after that I started doing a radio show here on campus, and then after that kind of segued into an internship with NBC with the Today Show, and now I'm at New York One. So yeah.
Terrific. So you're getting first-hand, up-close experience to try to develop your skills.
Definitely more on the production side, about like pitching stories, and every now and again I do get a chance to do a stand-up or two. So
now all these internships, do you go out and find them on your own? Do you get placement help from the Career Center or a professor, or is it just old-fashioned working the phones?
In all honesty, it's just been me applying online and just constantly following up. And NBC, I got that simply from applying. But I think the key to it is just applying as early as possible. It's very competitive. And then as far as New York One, I knew someone else that interned at New York One.
So incrementally, you're building on all these internship experiences, right? Now, at New York One, that's really hyper-local news.
Yes.
Breaking news. Every day is a new experience. Speak to that. How do you go in with one mindset for the day, and then something comes across the crawl or the ticker, and you're off and running? What is that like?
Well, I don't really get to work the breaking news side because I'm doing I work on an entertainment show.
Okay.
It's a new show. It's called Spotlight New York. It's mainly based on arts and culture, but there's a lot to that as well. The show has to be 23 minutes and 15 seconds exactly. So just making sure we're getting all those great sound bites in and making sure that it fits that time frame. So yeah.
Now, what is the atmosphere like in that newsroom, in that studio? I mean, do you have a quiet place to carve out your time, or is it electric all the time?
Usually I'm at my desk, and then my supervisor will say, "Oh, hey, I have a story that I really want you to just transcribe, find all the great sound bites, and try to pretty much make it easier for him so he could go through it." So what I like to do is I like to put little stars next to, "Oh, this is a great piece. This is a great moment when you got to see a different side of the person that we interviewed." So, but yeah, I think when we're actually taping the show, I think that's when there's a lot of stress. Like I said, to try to get that show down to 23 minutes and 15 seconds. I think that's a lot.
Now, you're very much self-taught. You've done a lot of editing and production work on your own. And I've even seen a documentary that you're working on. Tell me about that.
So how the documentary started, I was at MNN, it's Manhattan Neighborhood Network. I did a 10-week course with them on film production.
And that's another public access channel.
Another public access channel. Really just learning the basics of pre-production, production, and post-production. And so my instructor wanted all of us to really focus on a story that affects our community. And to me, I wanted to focus on mental illness. And so once I started doing the research on mental illness, I realized that it was just hard to find research on people of color, and I came to the conclusion that it's because of the stigma within our communities, and that's why that's why there's really no research. And so that's where.
And where are you in the production phase, and when is it going to be ready?
So I put out the 5-minute documentary back in December. Hopefully, I want to say it's only a short documentary. It's only supposed to be 15 minutes, but I'm just so precise, right. Very meticulous. So I want to say it'll be done next month. Okay. Hopefully.
Well, we'll be watching.
Yes.
Terrific.
Thank you.
Yugi.
Yes.
You're a graduate student here, but you also attended St. John's as an undergraduate.
Yes.
And while you were here, you were very involved in terms of campus life and some of the career opportunities that we have here on campus. Could you speak to that?
Sure. I think what I like to always say as an orientation leader when I was an undergrad is that you make St. John's what you put into it. So if you have the ability to really devote your time and energy and mental resources here, it tends to pay dividends in the future. So that's what I did. I followed my own advice, and I really took up every opportunity that I could. I ended up rising through the ranks in certain places and just sort of getting a wide breadth and depth sort of experience here at St. John's, something that I really value till this very day.
Terrific. And why St. John's coming out of high school?
Sure. I'm from the Bronx, so everyone asks the question of why not something in the city, why not something in the Bronx, because Fordham's right there. For me, St. John's was a Goldilocks school. It was far enough away that it was a new experience for me, similar to going very far away, but at the same time it was close enough to home because family is very important to me. So being able to go home every night and be with them and also have a life of my own elsewhere was something that really struck me as a incoming freshman and as something that I really have come to value with time.
As a commuter student, you're able to still fully immerse yourself in the life of campus in terms of activities and the things that are going on campus?
A lot of late nights, a lot of going over the bridge 4 times in one day, not because I want to, but because I accidentally stayed an extra over the midnight hour, and because of that I ended up going home late.
Right.
But it's, again, part of me just being able to get the most out of St. John's and being motivated. And I found that decision's easier to make every time I make it because it's so worth it to be here sometimes for that experience.
Now, graduate students, you just slid right into the graduate program? Is this something that you were comfortable with at St. John's? You like the department? You like the faculty? What made you want to stick around?
My undergraduate was in management at the Tobin College of Business, so I got to meet and learn a lot from that management sort of discipline. And fortunately, one of my professors who taught accounting was so inspirational to me that I decided that power of numbers and the power of what an accountant can do is something that I wanted to pursue. I applied to a very unique program that we have here at the university called the 5-year program, where they integrate some of your graduate coursework your senior year, and because of that I was able to actually just slide right on into grad school my senior year. And fortunately, because of the extracurriculars that I had done, I was able to secure a graduate assistantship and sort of just make a new home out of the home that I had already found here.
Terrific, terrific. Now, as an undergraduate, you were part of the President's Society.
Yes.
Which is the highest undergraduate honor that can be bestowed on an undergraduate. talk about that. What was that like? The process to be admitted,
Sure.
the work that you do as a member of the President Society, and what do you think you learned from that experience?
Okay. The process is actually relatively long and drawn out. It starts with a meeting where you're sort of given the expectations and what the President Society does. Every freshman that I've ever spoken to mentions those people in the blue suits that you see at convocation, which is the academic start of our year here at St. John's. And because it's such an influential time for freshmen, you're just taking everything in again. Those people in the blue suits come to be role models for you, and that's what you're reminded of when you go to that first informational meeting. From there, it's a written application and then a board interview with 12 people. So it's not easy by any capacity, and these are relatively high people: associate deans, deans of colleges, professors, very esteemed faculty members, and they ask you questions based on that application. Provided you do well enough and you really do embody the mission and values of the university, they select about 20 to 25 people to represent the university as a whole from our Queens campus as well as our Staten Island campus. In regards to what I personally thought of it, it was a source of validation for me. I like to say that because it's already junior year, so there's still plenty of opportunity for you to continue to better yourself, but at the same time, at that point, it goes to speak to what you have done at the university, and it's almost a way for the university to reciprocate and say, hey, good job, we appreciate you being here, now we want to show you off to the world because we value you as a member of this community. And then what I've learned from it, honestly, is how truly expansive our alumni network is. You do a lot in terms of going to events and hosting guests of the president, and through that...
You're technically part of the president's staff.
It literally says that right on the job description.
Right.
So it's funny because having to have that distinct honor, I've met CEOs of companies. I met someone who I then interviewed with, who I then got a job offer with.
Wonderful.
Again, just a testament to how expansive our network is and how we really do have a strong grip on New York City, because we are New York City in many ways.
181,000 alumni and counting, so a lot of them out there.
Yes, sir.
Terrific. Joshua and Cam, you guys had a very interesting experience this semester at a rotation that you were undergoing. Could you tell that story?
Sure. Well, it was the last day of our emergency medicine rotation at Flushing Hospital, and we just see patients come in and examine them and report back to a preceptor. So one patient came in. He was an elderly man. He was brought in by his daughter for a sore throat and like swelling of his tongue. And so generally what we do is we take a history of the patient, see why they're here, how long they have the symptoms for, and then we examine them. So we decided to, look in his throat, listen to his heart and lungs, and then I decided, let me just examine his abdomen as well. So I asked him to remove his shirt, and as I palpated, which basically means just feel on the abdomen, I felt this pulsing mass towards like the middle of his belly. So Cammie was with me, and I was like, I feel this mass. It feels a little weird. And she felt it too. So we went back and we told our preceptor. He examined him as well. They did an ultrasound of his belly, and it showed that he had an aneurysm of his abdominal aorta, or something that we call a AAA. And so they ordered a CAT scan. It showed that he not only had one, but he had two aneurysms. And the issue with the AAA is that if it grows large enough, there's a higher chance of rupture. And if the aneurysm ruptures, there's a 90% mortality risk, which means that there's a 90% chance that they'll die, let alone make it to the hospital in time.
Wow.
So we called a surgical consult. It came down. When all was said and done, they measured the aneurysm to 7 centimeters. And he was able to get the surgery he needed in order to fix the problem and prevent potential disaster from happening down the line.
Cam, he presents with sores in his mouth or a sore throat?
It was he was complaining of sore throat, and his daughter said, his tongue's been swollen for a while too. So obviously we have to look in his throat, and honestly his tongue was so swollen we had a very hard time to even see the throat.
Really?
And the daughter also complained that she felt like a pulsatile mass. Well, she felt like her dad's stomach had this bulge to it, and that he had dark stool for the past 2 to 3 days. So then we decided that we should do a more full-on exam instead
Okay.
of just focused.
Wow.
And when we lifted up the shirt and we saw the pulsatile mass, we both had a pretty clear idea of what it could
Wow. That's wonderful. I mean, you literally saved someone's life in the course of a school day.
be. Yes.
I mean, how do you go home after that? I mean, is it you just another day at the job, or was it a thrilling type of feeling for you?
Well, yeah, it was very thrilling for me. I mean, it's the first time. I mean, when we see patients, we keep it in the back of our minds that we could be helping them. This is preventative care. When we go to like primary care, they see us. This is all preventative care for
Okay.
what could happen next. But in emergency medicine, it was a little different. We saw the patients, and sometimes they could be really here for an emergency, and that's what he had.
Okay.
And we weren't really expecting a AAA from someone with a sore throat, honestly.
Right.
And it really made me feel like all the hours that I put into school really made it worth it in that moment that I
That's
saved
wonderful.
someone. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Now, has there been any follow-up with the patient, or it's just you move on? I assume he's doing better at this point, or do you know?
It is a little difficult in an emergency setting because it's just find out what the problem is, treat it, discharge.
Right.
But we were in touch with our preceptor who told us that I believe he was going to receive the surgery
Yes.
later on, so
Terrific.
I have to follow up on that as well.
That's a good day at work, huh?
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Now, Joshua, talk more about your idea, your plans of being a physician assistant. I mean, why that field? You know, what are you learning? What has it been like for you?
Sure. From the time I was young, I always had an interest in science and anatomy, biology, and I've always had a passion for helping people. And put two and two together, I figured that medicine, physician assistant studies would be the right field for me to go into, and I think I chose the right field.
Now, what are the type of rotations? What are the type of internship experiences have you had, or are you expected to have?
Well, the way the program works is that in our fourth year, we go on 10 different rotations. 9 out of 10 are mandatory, and then the 10th one, or 1 out of those 10 is our elective. They give us experience to a diverse patient population in different fields. So we do OBGYN, we do surgery, primary care.
Can you move throughout the borough or throughout the city? Or?
Exactly. So we have it in like different hospitals or different clinics. So it gives us a wide, vast experience.
And you're taking coursework in addition to doing this work, yes?
That's mostly our didactic year, which was last year.
Okay.
This year is mostly just field work and learning how to practice in the field.
And then is there some sort of paper, research, report that follows this experience?
Right, so once a month we go back to take a test. So in between rotations, we're also studying to, increase our knowledge and really learn the fundamentals of medicine.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Cam, you came from overseas
Yes.
to study, to grow up here in New York. What has that been like for you, and how has the transition into higher education been?
Well, I came from Hong Kong, and over there we speak Cantonese. So I actually went to England first, where I spent 3 years there. I learned English there. It was quite difficult for me. I was the only Asian kid in that school, so I had to learn English very fast. And then when I was 11, I moved over here because my dad's job also moved over. And I started out in middle school. The culture between Britain and America is a little different, but the language is the same, so I got on pretty fine. And so in high school, I thought about what I wanted to do in the future, and I decided I was interested in medicine, and I heard about this up-and-coming field of physician assistants, and that they were expanding. So I started looking into that career in general, and I started looking into programs around, and I found that St. John's, which was local, offered a 4-year program straight from high school. I also found several other schools that also offer the same type of program, but most schools were of a postgraduate study. So since I knew that's what I wanted to do, so I applied to mostly undergrad programs first, and I got several offers, and I decided that staying in New York was important to me because I wanted to be close to my family. So
You had a sibling who came to St. John's as well, right? Was that an influencer in your decision-making process?
Definitely. I mean, he told me, so obviously he also studied physician assistant, and he's practicing. So beforehand, I have like, a close by source to ask about,
Good for you.
how is this career? What do you think? Do you think I should go into it? And he told me all about it, and he said, if you want to stay close to home, St. John's is a very good option. And he went to St. John's. He was a commuter student, and he said campus life here is very good, even if you're a commuter student. So
Wonderful. Terrific. Cooper and I, full disclosure, Cooper is a former student of mine who I got to know inside the classroom in government and politics. And Cooper, talk about your internship experience in the New York State Assembly and what that was like.
So I got that internship actually through you because you connected me with the chief of staff. And there I interned for 2 semesters, spring 2017 until fall 2017. I took the summer off and had another internship. But with the Assemblywoman, I was able to have a lot of constituent casework experience. So, constantly on the phone, talking to different people, connecting them with the different state departments that could answer their questions. And then I also was able to do a lot of extensive research on different legislation which the Assemblywoman would support or propose up at Albany.
Terrific. Now, Cooper, getting an internship in government and politics was a natural progression for you because you're very involved in student government here on campus. Could you speak to that?
So I became involved with student government on campus my freshman year. Student government at St. John's is broken up in 2 sections. You have your representatives and you have your committees. So I was a committee co-chair for the elections committee, and we oversaw the election of representatives and the executive board. And after that, I did that for my freshman year, which was fall 2015 to spring 2016. And then afterward, I applied to become the elections chair for that same committee. And I got that, and I was that for a year and a half. And being in that role, you really get to talk to a lot of students, and really the role isn't just supervising the elections process, it's kind of recruiting for SGI and showing the students the benefits they have as well as their impact that they can have on the community. So it's really a great option.
Now, like Yugi, you've been and like everyone, you've been very involved in terms of campus tours, and are you an orientation advisor as well?
No, I'm a student ambassador.
Student ambassador, and what does that involve?
So student ambassadors, they give tours 10 per semester, and then they also help with the open house, the accepted students day, shadow visits, and overnights. So a lot of it is really just connecting with different students, and they do a really good job at trying to pair you with a student who has similar major ideas in mind. And after that, sometimes they'll pair you with someone who's from the same state. I'm from the great state of New Jersey, and I've had the opportunity to meet a lot of kids that are very interested in coming to St. John's from there. And it's really a great experience because you learn their stories as well, and you really get to show our amazing university to them.
Wonderful. Now, all of you have had a unique St. John's experience, some a little further along than others. What would you tell your freshman self if you could go back in time? Cam, what do you think?
Let's see. I would tell myself to be more involved in campus life, because in my first year I didn't join many clubs. We had I think it was a week where the clubs would come out,
Right.
and you would go around and they would introduce themselves and try to attract you into joining their own club. I wish I went to that. I went to the first one, and then that was it for me.
Okay.
I joined one club and I just kept on with that club. But I wish I joined more clubs and had a good look around to see what I would really like. I also wish that I would tell my freshman self, don't be shy. Really just be more outgoing, speak to more people, make more friends. And with the professors, don't be scared of them. Really make use of their office time too.
Sure.
They're here for you.
Sure, absolutely. Cooper, you're involved in Greek life, and part of Greek life is recruiting students to join your fraternity, your sorority. Speak to that. I mean, how do you try to market the fraternity? How do you try to get students more involved in Greek life here at St. John's?
So, Greek life is very strong at the Queens campus. There are over 20 fraternities and sororities, and a lot of us, we show that we aren't the stereotypical fraternity or sorority or Greek life that you would see maybe at another school, maybe a larger school. But we do a lot with the community. We help with Relay for Life. We help with different philanthropies and stuff like that. So my fraternity, our philanthropy is the elimination of prejudice. So that is something that is very prominent at St. John's because of our very diverse community. So we're one of the most diverse schools in the country, and because of that, everyone has a story and everyone has different experiences. So when you really get to talk to someone and you show them, like, this is what we're about, this is the things we like to do and things that we like to work with and work towards, that really builds a connection, and that is something that attracts a lot of students.
So St. John's University is a global university with campuses across the globe. Has anyone here studied abroad, and what was that experience like? Yugi.
So I had the good fortune of studying abroad as part of my School of Business course load. I took one class, Introduction to Marketing, and we studied abroad for a week and a half in Dublin, Ireland.
Wonderful.
Yes, and then I also took a management course on international business, and that took me to the beautiful country of Brazil, and specifically Sao Paulo and Rio de Janeiro.
And how long were you there?
About a week and a half as well.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Wonderful. Thea?
I took a communication course. I was in Italy, Rome. It was just great to be there. Also, we did service as well while we were at.
And that's a big part of almost all the study abroad. No matter if you go for a week or a semester, service is an important component.
Yeah, I was only there for 2 weeks, but we made sure we got a lot of service.
And what service did you do?
We fed the homeless. That was something that we were doing constantly, like just bring them food. But yeah, so.
Wonderful. Truly a global university in every sense of the word. So I'm going to move to a lightning round. Short answer questions. Are you ready?
Okay.
5 years from now, your business card, what is it going to say? Cooper, we'll start with you.
Chief of Staff.
Chief of Staff too?
I don't know.
You don't know. All right. Thea?
On-air talent.
On-air talent. Here in New York?
Yes, of course.
All right. What do you say, John?
Emergency medicine physician assistant.
Wonderful. Yugi?
He's happy.
Good for you. Cam?
Cam Yi Lau, PA of Emergency Medicine.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Best class at St. John's outside of your major? Cooper?
Persuasion. I'm in that class right now.
Speech. Persuasive
rhetoric.
speaking?
Yes,
Rhetoric? Thea?
Public relations writing.
John?
Philosophy.
Philosophy?
Yeah,
Wow.
it's an interesting class.
Yugi?
Digital forensics.
Okay.
Speech or philosophy.
Speech is a good one to have. It's a good requirement. A lot of students don't realize that, but it's helpful, especially your first year. Best place to study on campus?
Quiet study.
My office with the door locked.
Wonderful. Okay.
Library quiet study.
Okay. Cooper?
Any classroom.
Any classroom after hours?
Yes, sir.
Thea?
Library quiet study.
Library quiet study. Wonderful. Wonderful. So I want to thank you all for your time today. I want to thank you for sharing your experiences today. And I want to thank you for doing what you're doing, because you're like the classic St. John story. You're doing great things, and you're doing it here in the community and beyond. So thank you for your time. Keep doing what you're doing, and I'll be checking out those business cards in a few years and see if they were right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. For more information about St. John's, please visit stjohns.edu. From the Queens, New York campus of St. John's University, I'm Brian Brown.